So you want to give your monster some cool abilities to throw at your players and really spice up those standard stat blocks? Well, I'm here to show you how. Coming up. Welcome to the Dungeon Coach. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm here to help you lower that DC in your game and spice up your monsters. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to use spells, fluid stat blocks, previous editions, player character features, and some good old creativity to bring your enemies to life. The standard stat blocks in the game can sometimes be very simple and maybe lacking that certain feel you're looking for in your monsters. I want every combat of mine to feel unique. Giving your creatures some extra tweaks to spice them up can really make them feel different than anything your players have ever experienced before. And those players of yours who've memorized the entire monster manual, you know who you are, won't have any idea what they're in store for. Now there's other ways to make your combat more interesting, like adding terrain and environmental hazards. You could also add in some homebrew house rules for combat. I made an entire video on that right here. And you guys really seem to love that video. I was blown away when it got over 1,000 views. But I was the most pumped about being able to talk to you guys down in the comments and see how excited y'all were to try out these rules. So how do you customize these monsters? When I first started DMing, I used the CR system and the standard stat blocks. You got a lot of stuff in your plate as a beginner DM, and I didn't feel comfortable tweaking the monsters just yet. But over time, I felt like my monsters could be cooler and more memorable. So I started modifying monsters a little bit here and there, and now that's all I ever do. I literally customize everything I throw at my players, and most of the times I make them entirely from scratch, which that will be its own video. So here's the resources I've used to spice it up. Number 1, spells. There's a ton of spells out there that you can add to most any monster that's easily explainable through natural magic. Thorn Whip is a cantrip that pulls enemies 10 feet closer to you. You could easily make this an actual whip and put it in the hands of a bandit, or a barbed tentacle of an abomination, or a gross tongue from a frog monster. The level 1 spell, Smoke Bomb, could literally be a smoke bomb. And if there's any left over from the guys that were using it, now they have a limited use magic item. Or you could reflavor it entirely and have it be some odd gas that comes out of the pores of a creature, leaving it in a shroud of mist. The level 2 spell, Crown of Madness, could be a psychedelic drug lying on the blade of a dagger, or it could be the gaze of a monster's flashing yellow eyes. There are a lot of spells to choose from. Just pick one that makes sense for the creature you want to give it to, reflavor it, and you're done. Number 2, fluid stat blocks. There's 2 main ways to handle this: reflavoring and mix matching. Reflavoring is the easiest. You just take that stat block as it is and make it into something else. You really like the stats of a horn devil, but you want to turn it into a hellhound of some kind? Go for it. Use the stats exactly as they are, but reskin it to be a massive hound from hell. You could take the stat block of a unicorn and turn it into a mysterious cloaked spellcaster. Unicorns have some concealing magic, healing magic, a horn attack, a hoof attack, and they can even teleport. So now your mysterious hooded figure can cast spells to hide in the shadows, heal injured allies, and unsheath a moonblade for his attacks, which would be the horn and the hoof attack. They can misty step around the battlefield or teleport to escape. So you just took a unicorn and turned it into a pretty cool NPC or villain. The other way to do this is the mix match. So here's an example. You could take a challenge level 2 ogre and a challenge level 5 troll and mix match them. If you want your players to fight an easier troll, give them the stats of the ogre but the features of the troll. But instead, if you want your players to fight a more challenging ogre, take the stats of the troll and keep everything else from the ogre. Or just combine the features of both together in one big massive monster. So you like the Displacer Beast and you want to amp up its tentacles? Go to the Roper stat block, take its tentacle attack, and give it to the Displacer Beast. Now your players will be instantly grappled every time your tentacle attack lands. And that might be that feel that you were looking for. So you don't have to get stuck in a box and use the stat blocks exactly as they are. Number 3, previous editions. Previous editions of Dungeons & Dragons have some pretty cool mechanics in them. 4th edition's Monster Manual was a great source of inspiration for me. Some of its monsters have some passive auras that deal damage or status effects if you get too close. They also have some cool triggers that grant creatures extra abilities when certain things happen. So here's an example comparing 5th edition Red Dragons to 4th edition Red Dragons. Both dragons have bite, claw, and tail attacks, a frightful presence, and of course, a breath weapon. But in 4th edition, dragons are really amped up a notch. Anytime a player enters melee range from behind and flanks the dragon, it provokes the dragon's reaction and it gets a free tail attack on him. And the scariest part is when you get a dragon to half health, giving it the bloodied condition, it instantly recharges its breath weapon. So players not only have to be careful with movements from behind the dragon, but also deal with the dragon's fiery retaliation. Most of the things in here was just a great inspiration to bring over to 5th edition. So just browsing through the previous edition's mechanics can help give you some good ideas. Number 4, player character features. This is one of my favorite things to do. The Player's Handbook has so many cool resources for players. Why not steal them and give them to your enemies? Take any generic bandit and make them more like a rogue or ranger by literally giving them rogue and ranger abilities. Just cherry pick the cool abilities you want and give them to pre-existing monsters. You want to spice up a boring old panther? Give it a rogue sneak attack. You want to amp up the bugbear commander? Give him access to bardic inspiration. Not that he sings in combat, but that he yells commands out at his troops to inspire them in battle. Dragon's still not crazy enough for you? Give him access to sorcerer spells and even meta magic. The two big tips here are to use the mechanics of classes that your players aren't. So whatever classes your players didn't pick, go look through those and get some cool abilities and throw them on your monsters. Or instead do the opposite. Take a cool ability or even spell that your player's about to get from their class and give it to an enemy so they get a cool sneak peek of what's to come. You could even tie that experience into their character and maybe that's how they learned how to do that thing. God forbid having RP reasons why your characters learn something. Number 5, and the last thing here, is make something up. A lot of times that exact thing you're looking for might not be there, so you gotta make it up. You'll use all those previous times you customize things to help you find that right feel and balance that you're looking for. So here's what I wanna do for you guys. I spend a lot of time writing the scripts for these videos to make sure they're quick and efficient. But now I'm gonna get the monster manual, open it up to a random page, and see how I'd spice up that monster. Now this might be a little different than normal, and I will edit out like the thinking stuff, but comment down below and let me know if you like it. So let's see how this goes. Okay. I got a clay golem and a flesh golem. I'm gonna go with a flesh golem. You got nasty, zombie almost looking big dude. So what I do is I let them keep all the abilities they normally have, but I just add some extra cool stuff. So I'm seeing this nasty flesh thing, and I just imagine the first thing that popped in my head was it just smells bad. It's like drooling and oozing some stuff. So I'm thinking of a monster, a troglodyte. Whenever you're in, I think 10 or so feet, and this is the thing, you're just coming up with thoughts, and you could go look at the monster, but I'm just gonna say a 10 feet aura around it. He's huge, like a 15-foot aura around it. Any attacks made in that 15-foot aura are a disadvantage from the awful stench that's around this thing. And you could assign a constitution saving throw to something like that, but I try not to. And I would use the 4th edition aura mechanics to just limit down on the rolls so it doesn't bog the game down so much. So players would know, if I'm in 15 feet of this thing, I smell this rancid stench and I have disadvantage on my attacks. That's what I do. Number 2. This is fun. Ghouls. Or I guess ghast and ghoul. What's funny is ghasts have a stench ability that creatures within 5 feet make a constitution saving throw or they're poisoned. So similar to the flesh golem thing, but not the same. Man, I'm really thinking about this one. Because I want to make it different than the flesh golem stench thing. So I'm looking at a ghast if anybody's wondering what a ghast looks like. But I'm seeing this whole thing being this real poison vibe from this thing. So I want to kind of reflavor it to be this poison creature with claws and teeth and stuff. Every time you attack this thing, its blood is literally poison. Everything about this thing is poison. Anytime it's dealt damage in melee range within 5 feet and it spills its blood on you, I would roll a d4, there's 1d4, and they would take that many poison damage. Now I know that's really small and a lot of people don't like automatic damage being dealt, but that's not something I'd want to have to do another dexterity saving throw for, another constitute, too many rolls. So this thing is blood, is that poisonous that just spills off of itself. So maybe your players come up with a creative thing where they say like, I hold my shield up and attack behind it, and then maybe you don't make the roll. But I think that would be a cool thing to have this like crazy poison creature. All right, let's do one more. Mind Flayer and Minotaur. I'm gonna get my phone out for this. I have a spell app on my phone. It already has Dominate Monster. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm getting a, like the first thing that pops into my mind, Mind Flayer? What? First thing that pops in my mind is like the whole possession thing. And like, not just eating the brain and like mind blasting the brain, but like getting those tentacles into the brain and like controlling the person. That would be crazy. Mind Flayers are already so strong, but here's a little twist. What if it already has the eat brain action that it can only do when its tentacles are actually grappled onto somebody? But what if he had an option? Instead of only being able to, okay, eat brain, that's all he could really do. What if you could give it another choice? If the target is grappled with the whole tentacle brain thing, make them make an intelligence saving throw at disadvantage. The DC for this guy is 15. But you can give them a saving throw at disadvantage, and if they fail, they are now possessed in their mind. And if they fail, they become possessed for just a round or maybe until they actually make the save. And this would give the already powerful Mind Flayer a free dominate person if they're grappled in the head. Interesting. And I'll leave it at that. I hope that was interesting for you guys to see kind of a little bit of the process of the mental juggling of what sounds right or feels right or what you want to add or give it. And that's kind of how I do this whole customization thing. You got a bunch of stuff at your disposal you can think about. I looked at spells, thought about player stuff, other monster stat blocks. Use everything at your disposal, and that's it. I hope these ideas and maybe seeing it live gave you some ideas on how to do it yourself. The most important thing is to start doing it now, at least a little bit. The more you do it, the better you get at balancing this whole thing. So if you like this customization and you want to step it up to creation, then give this video a like. And if this video gets 100 likes, I'll make a video on my super simple method for creating monsters completely from scratch, which is pretty much all I ever do now. Don't get me wrong, I definitely take inspiration from everything we just talked about, but I have a really cool chart that I made that makes this whole process really fast and easy. Okay guys, buckle up because there's some big stuff coming for this channel. First, I have a brand new Discord server that I just created for us. I want to take this community and give you guys a place to talk to me and each other. Help each other out, ask each other questions, brainstorm new ideas, everything. The link for the Discord will be down in the description. This brings me to the last thing. I told myself I would not start a Patreon until I had enough quality content up on YouTube for you guys. I hope I have helped you guys in some way, and I want to continue doing this even more. So now I do have a Patreon that you can go online and donate to. The link for this will also be down in the description. But let's get something straight. All of the money that I get from Patreon will go right back into the channel and to you guys. Like this giveaway, money I get from the Patreon, I want to buy more stuff with. I want to buy stuff to make better content and give back to you guys. And I have different reward tiers ranging from a shout out in a video, access to exclusive channels on the Discord, or physical resources that I use as a DM, all the way up to the Ancient Dragon tier where the Dungeon Coach gives you one-on-one coaching on whatever you want. I just want to help you guys and give back. So I am super pumped for all of these things. So if y'all want to be a part of this journey and join the Dungeon Crew, smash that subscribe button and spread the word to help grow this channel. Check out those Discord and Patreon links down below because I have a lot of stuff coming soon. Peace.